Hey everybody, Smoke Cleaner here, back with another video for you. Now this one is going to be a little call out to MAGA. Um, I might get a few downvotes for this, but hear me out, hear me out. This has to do with perception and when words actually matter, because words matter if words are being uh, put up against your actions or what your principles are, and it turns out you're going to be hypocritical. Now, because hypocrites, we hate hypocrites, right? We call the left hypocrites all the time, so let's not be hypocrites. This all has to do with the send her back chant last night at Trump's rally. And I have my tweet up here, and let me read it for you. Trump was right to be upset about the send her back chant. He never said send them back. That implies forcibly against their will. He said they should go back, which implies voluntary. POTUS isn't a dictator. They can leave if they want. Come on, Maggie, you fucked up. And this is true. This has to be with the perception of what the MAGA movement is. We're about life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and making America great again. That doesn't involve picking and choosing and forcibly sending people back to where they came from if they don't adhere to the strictly to the American dream, and our morals, principles. And yes, I understand. Uh, there's an argument here saying, well, these people's rhetoric will destroy America. And yes, I agree with that argument, but there's a fine line here. Where is the cutoff between what they say to when constitutionally you can find a legal way to get rid of them? But you can't. See, the Constitution doesn't allow that to happen. They'd have to violate the Constitution. And just having insensitive rhetoric uh, doesn't violate the Constitution because, free speech. Now, there's an argument to say that these people shouldn't be in our government because let's just the elephant in the room here, Sharia law and that Muslims adhere to is a religious set of rules, and in the Muslim world, in the Muslim culture, the religious rules of Sharia law are above any kind of law made by man. So that includes the U.S. Constitution. So yes, there's an argument saying if plenty of Muslims get into the government and they vote to change the Constitution around or supersede the Constitution with Sharia law, does that violate the Constitution? Or since the Constitution was changed, is it not violation anymore? Or is there an argument saying because you're trying to change the Constitution into something that now is unconstitutional, that's a violation of the Constitution? Do you see what I'm getting at here? It's it's very nuanced and a complete muddying of the waters. But I think I'm getting off topic here again. Let me get back to the chant. Send them back. The perception MAGA is about what I just said before: freedom of speech, letting people do what they want, like living the American dream, and on those principles. By chanting "send her back," "send them back," whatever the exact chant was, I think it was "send her back." It it there's a crack in our facade. Now we look like hypocrites. We're willing to violate somebody's constitutional rights as citizens. You're not allowed, as I remember, it's you're not allowed to deport a citizen in the United States. That's against the law. You're not allowed to. Unless they're have done of violence in another country, mass murder, death, destruction, kill, yeah, anything like murder in another country, then they can get extradited to that country. Now, like, it's wishy-washy. Americans will fight to keep them here, but if it's egregious enough, or let's say it's on an allied soil, like, I don't know, France or England, then yeah, somebody could get extradited and face punishment there. That's very rare, but it's illegal to deport a citizen of the United States. And they're all citizens, so it's illegal to send them back. See, it just makes MAGA look bad. Makes it look like we'll violate the principles like that just because this person we don't like ideologically. And yes, I know people say, well, they're doing it to us all the time, and I get the argument. Yeah, what good of our principles if we're sitting in a gulag somewhere wasting away? It's like, oh well, at least I have held to my principles, but now I'm eating a bowl of rice. I understand that argument. Okay, I get it. I get it. But this, like I said, this is fine. Like, and I think it goes to the culture. We have to shift the culture back to what MAGA is about, making America great again, as in the culture. It's Western ideology. It's Western culture that needs to be revived, because since we're losing our culture, because we're told that our culture is horrible and everything, there's a vacuum that's been created, and now it's being filled up by random cultures from all across the world, and it's destroying our distinctiveness. So we have nothing. It seems like we have nothing to fight for. We're losing our will to fight for our culture. But Trump is changing that with his nationalistic spearhead of MAGA, Make America Great Again. And he's doing it. He's shifting the culture back. And the left is kicking and screaming racism, xenophobia, sexism, all the labels you can ever think of. But it's not working. We're slowly starting to roll it back. Now remember, as Andrew Breitbart said, politics are downstream from culture. That's why you see the likes of Omar and these regressive Democrats right now in politics, because the culture of a decade or so ago was very different to how it's shifting now. It's the shift started in 2015 with the MAGA movement. It's been 4 years now. 2020 will be the 5th year of the MAGA movement, and we have seen the shift start. But remember that before that, you had the globalist mentality of Clinton, Bush, the other Bush, Obama, and all the whole muddying and destruction of the Western culture and the idea of what it is to be Western. So that's where you see. That's why now in politics you have all this diverse representation of different ideologies. But you'll see that maybe not this election, maybe not 2020, maybe Ilhan Omar and AOC will keep their spots in the House. But I think the wave is now pushing backwards with the culture, and you will see that reflected downstream in politics in a couple more years. So, like I said, right now, this is all it's all a jumbled mess. And I don't want to say stay the course, but the effects are slowly trickling in culturally with what Trump is doing and his rhetoric, his pro-America rhetoric, not this anti-diverseness rhetoric that send them back or send her back connotates. And yes, I know. I even just had a video on my Twitter the other day saying, oh, don't give me the connotations of these words. Yes, there we go. I caught myself there. I'm being a little bit hypocritical. But remember, perception is a lot more, because why I said don't give me the connotations of what it means to go back to your own country, because the context and the perception was Trump was being justified in his response to the anti-America rhetoric from these people. But saying send them, send her back or send them back is hypocritical, and because that's not what MAGA is about. We're not about authoritarianism and forcing people to leave just because of what they say. That's what leftists do. So let's just all put this into perspective. Let's take a step outside the box and just critically look at this for a minute. And I think we can come out of this level head. And in my opinion here, let me leave you with a silver lining. I really don't think this will amount to anything. The left can go kicking and screaming again. Yeah, this gives them a tiny little nugget of something legitimate that they can go back and say, oh, look, xenophobia, racism, sexism, yada, yada, yada. But those terms have been watered down and destroyed over the past half a decade because of the mainstream media's constant banging on about American racism and xenophobia and the gender pay gap or like the patriarchy and all this crap, then people really don't care. So yeah, in the end, it's important, but not really because the mainstream media has pretty much desensitized people to this sort of thing. So yes, send her back was the wrong thing to say. Made MAGA look bad right now, but it's not going to affect the election. Nobody's going to remember this. And Trump came out strong. He disavowed it. And take a look at, for example, Ilhan Omar, AOC, Tlaib, and Presley. They didn't disavow the ice bomber attack on that ice facility the other day. And that guy in his manifesto directly used the phrase concentration camps, the same phrase that was originated and has been repeated ad nauseum by AOC and Ilhan Omar and all these other progressive Democrats. So, yeah, that there is way more egregious than the chant of send her back and Trump disavowing the chant right away. And the women here about the ice bomber that was physically destroying property and trying to hurt people, silent. So, just based on that little ending, I think MAGA will still be in good shape. Trump 2020 is still on track, but we just have to be mindful that we should not be stepping on Trump's toes or tripping him up in our giant, constant party of winning. So, with that, I will see you guys all later. Oh, don't forget, check me out at Gab. I'm also on Minds. I got my BitChute channel here on Twitter as well. All those links will be down there in the description as usual. So, Swamp Cleaner out. See you later.